the Explore Everywhere podcast, where we explore the world through hiking trails and paddling routes, visit some amazing places, and meet the people who love and protect them. To support the Explore Everywhere podcast, visit our online store at www.exploreeverywheremedia.com. I'd like to thank Pete Coleman for the tour and John Southern for the hospitality at Roosevelt Campobello Park. Welcome to episode 26 of the Explore Everywhere podcast. This episode's the second part of a two-part series about our trip to Campobello Island in the Bay of Fundy in winter. We took a trip there for a couple days in February and did some exploring. Didn't know what to find in the off-season. We love to explore these places in the off-season because there's not a lot of people around. It's just a different experience to do it in the off-season, but you got to plan ahead because sometimes there's not a lot of restaurants. Sometimes accommodations are difficult. In the first episode, I took a tour with Pete Coleman, and we explored the trails around Fox Farm Meadow and around Liberty Point and Raccoon Beach. Did a hike out to Sunsweep Statue, which is on Ragged Point. Explored around Liberty Point, which is the most amazing spot on the island. In this episode, we pick up Vicki and hike out to the Dome Bog overlooking Lower Duck Pond, and across the bog, and actually the pond itself, there's a trail that is built out to the edge of the pond on either side, and there's plans to build a boardwalk system across the bog. Then we came back and drove up to Friar's Head Lookout and checked out Roosevelt Cottage, even though it was closed for the season. On day 2, I got up early and hiked the Customs House Trail, and then in the afternoon, Vicki and I hiked around Friar's Head, up to the lookout, and down to Friar's Bay Beach, and back to Roosevelt Cottage, and did a loop. Then on our way home that day, we crossed over the bridge over to Maine, and took a side tour down to Quoddy Head Lighthouse, and checked out a short trail there. We pick up this adventure as we start our hike into the bog from Fox Farm Meadow.
The sun's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's just must be the side of the island we're on. Yeah. Your truck.
What a difference between yesterday and today.
Oh, I know, eh?
What a beautiful day.
So was this a trail before that just got upgraded, or is this just all completely brand new?
Completely brand new.
Completely brand new, eh? Nice trail.
That's very nice.
And then up here, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a foot trail that goes over to, remember where we parked, and I said that road goes down to like sort of a lollipop. I don't know what the conditions were. Last time I was in there, it was like pretty icy.
Yeah.
That goes to
Oh, okay. Yeah.
if we had driven down there, there's a footpath that it comes to.
Yeah.
And this is the other end of that footpath that goes along this pond.
Oh, okay.
And I think I had mentioned in one of my emails that this trail is closed because we had probably about a dozen or more blowdowns that have come across the trail.
Yeah.
And we're looking at rerouting this trail where the blowdowns have come down anyhow.
Yeah.
So we're leaving them there until we figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So be careful going on this because this could be pretty icy.
The next trail.
Not bushwhacking with this one.
No.
It's a really nice trail.
Did you say this was a bike trail?
Yeah, historic core part of our park. Cross the road and then into the natural area.
Okay.
And then I'll show you on the way back. I showed James earlier this morning where there's these big floating bog walk structures that are going to be used to connect this area to the lower duck pond.
Big trees in here.
Yeah.
Try to take a picture of a squirrel that you guys.
You want this camera?
No, it's okay.
And so the park is like really interesting, creating these little wayside spaces, you know, kind of gazebo type structures.
Yeah.
That we have identified a couple areas on the landscape, and this is one of the areas
Oh, nice.
that's been identified for one of those structures.
Really
Next to this like little brook that's going by, and just sort of tucked in with that bank of trees.
nice.
It's a really peaceful spot.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how to.
How many visitors do you guys get like right now? Well, not at this time of year, but in the regular season.
I think before COVID, I think it was like 25,000, 150,000
Okay.
a year.
Yeah.
But so the park was started in 1964, and it was a way to honor the legacy of President Franklin Roosevelt. So most people up until recently came to tour the cottages and did interpretive tours about the Roosevelts.
Right.
What we're finding is that the majority of those people who still come here now are like in their 70s or older.
Okay.
And so that demographic is changing.
Right.
And so we're still maintaining the historic core like we always did. At the same time, we realize that in order to be viable in the future, we need to reach out to a broader audience, a younger audience, parents with young children, etc.
Right.
So now our focus is shifting a little more to the natural area, which it has never been. So that's like bringing our existing trails up to a different standard, creating new trails, natural playgrounds, more pavilions.
Yeah. Yeah, when our kids were little, this is what we looked for. Just things like this to take them, burn off some energy.
We always knew where the playground was.
Yeah.
And it's also important, in order to ensure like that next generation of conservationists get kids out in nature as much as possible
Absolutely,
at
yeah.
an early age.
Yeah.
And the future really does depend on that.
Yeah.
So there's a big, in addition to what I just mentioned, there's like an educational component that's going to be tied into a lot of that, because we just hired some new people to sort of do programming,
Oh, great.
programming and outreach.
And then you get the history connection too,
Right.
which is also really cool.
Yeah, this park has a lot of potential, and a lot of it I don't think has really been fully tapped yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a new superintendent.
Look at that moose track though.
Yeah.
Still working.
Well, the money shot is like when we get to the bog, and there's like
The moose out in
the
it.
big bull moose is
Yeah.
like standing on the bog.
That's when you guys walk ahead, I'll step back, and you guys are going to be part of that picture.
Yeah, I love being sacrificed for the picture.
Yeah. Great, go forward. Go forward.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah, when he's like, go into the woods and chase out that pheasant. And I'm like, okay.
That was more of a, I wonder if she'll do that. That wasn't even a picture.
Everyone already.
I know, I'm starting to cook. Yeah, I didn't realize this trail was as long. How far across is it?
2 kilometers?
2 kilometers?
2 or 3 kilometers. You can see like how you can make a half a day of it. If you start at the Roosevelt Cottage, you continue all the way down here, all the way to the Roosevelt Pond,
Yeah.
and then out to Liberty Point,
Yeah.
and then come back on the Liberty Point Road. It will allow you to travel on the full perimeter of the park.
Yeah.
After a beautiful 2.7 kilometer hike through a spruce and hardwood forest, really nice forest, beautiful trail, nice wide crushed rock trail because it's supposed to be primarily for bikes, but for hiking also, a multi-use trail. We came out into a large stone bog where the trail ends, and from there you can look out because you're up on a hill. You could see down over Lower Duck Pond and the bay and look out where we were the day before. And we made our way down through the bog just to see where the trail was proposed to cross the pond.
Oh, wow.
That's Fox Hill right there, dude.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that there'll be a trail that comes up from that Fitzwilliams Road that I showed you where the yellow gates were. They'll come up to the top of that, maybe have a platform, and then sort of drop down to the saddle, incorporate that little knoll right there,
Yeah.
and then back to the road.
So the trail here is going to go which way? It's going to go that way.
Yeah.
This isn't where you'll have the platforms though?
Yeah, they're gonna go along the edge here.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you where
Yeah.
where it's slated to go.
Oh, I see where we are now. Yeah, yeah. This is an extensive bog. I didn't realize this bog was that extensive. Oh, wow. Lots of picture plants. And it's weird that it's up on the hill, eh?
Yeah, I think it was a dome. Dog.
Huh. So there must be something underneath holding it in place. Like rock-wise.
That sort of gives it a unique characteristic, and that's why it's referred to as a domed bog.
Yeah, it's weird. 'Cause you can, it almost, like you can almost see where it arches, eh?
Right, where the edge drops off.
Yeah.
And you notice when we were hiking here, we were kind of rising the whole time.
Yeah. No, we're totally, yeah, I mean.
When we were at the bog and Pete mentioned that it was a dome bog, I knew I'd seen that before somewhere and I couldn't figure out why, but I had a suspicion that it was at the bog trail at Quack Park. So when I got home, I looked it up and I found out that that's true. That's also a dome bog. And when I looked it up, dome bogs are basically ones where the peat accumulates in the middle and it flows out into the surrounding forest slowly over time because it becomes a little bit of a hill, and the bog just increases in size that way over a long period of time. Pretty cool spot. This one was up on a hill where you had views down a Lower Duck Pond in the bay.
Pretty big pond down there too, right? Is that the pond right there?
Yeah.
Or is that the bay and then the pond
That's
over here?
the bay, the pond right on the side of the sand.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I thought this was the pond here.
Yeah, I'll take you right to the edge.
Yeah.
And you'll see where we were.
Yeah, I can see how this would be challenging to get a bike across.
Yeah.
So where you cross this, are you gonna is it gonna be raised? You're gonna raise it up? Or will it sit right on the ground?
I think we're going to go on this concrete bank.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. It must be sitting on something to the other level. Game trail there.
Because otherwise it'd be really hard to hold this level.
Yeah. Oh, you have to excavate it if you did it any other way.
Right, I think the last thing I'm mentioning here is like less than
Low impact, yeah.
So I've lost the last stage, but you can see that clearing over there?
Yeah.
That's where the other end of that bike path comes out. From where you and I parked at the parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's when we turned around and come back and picked up Vicki.
Yeah.
And we were standing on a wooden structure looking at a beach that you took a photograph of.
Yeah.
That's this right here.
Right there.
And you can see that yellow bank. Remember you had asked me about that
Yeah.
that cliff there, that sand cliff?
Yeah.
That's the yellow bank where the picnic tables are.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So it's not very far across the open water then.
No.
Just gonna be a little. Oh, it's just the bog.
The bog and then a bridge here and a bridge at the beginning there where we first got off the bike
Yeah.
path.
Be nice though, because you're like in a bog, but you're kind of looking out over the coast too.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird bog.
And even like on that trail when you can't, even though you can't see the ocean,
Yeah.
often you can hear it. It's pretty cool because like you're in this like woodland setting,
Yeah.
but you can hear the crushing of the waves, or the
Yeah.
crashing of the waves. And so that would be Liberty Point straight ahead there.
Yeah. Vicki, that's that Quoddy Lighthouse on the Maine side.
Yeah. Okay.
That red and black one I was telling you about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe very nice trail and stuff. So it's planned to be completed this year then?
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
But I think more realistically, like when it's completed and open to the public, probably won't be for another season.
Yeah. No moves, no.
Sorry, I really tried.
Jumping curl, that's it.
We then hiked back to the truck at Fox Hill Meadow and drove down to Cranberry Point, which is just beyond Fox Hill Meadow, down a little bit to get some views of Upper Duck Pond and Grand Manan in the distance, which was really cool.
Nice view of Grand Manan here.
Oh, wow.
And so
Oh, wow.
behind that point, right,
Yeah.
follow that line in around that point, you're going to notice up here, that's the lower duck pond that we were looking at when we crossed the bog.
Oh, wow.
And then that's the road out to Quoddy Head.
Is this Cranberry Point up here? This is just the observation for it, or is that Cranberry Point?
That's Cranberry Point
Oh, that's
there.
Cranberry Point there. That's a big point.
It looks like somebody's out there maybe clamming.
Yeah, they're way out there, eh?
Yeah. I'll pull over in this parking lot if you want to take some photos.
Yeah, definitely. Always.
Right, that was a silly question, right? James, you want to take a photograph? So that bike path that we were just walking on, guys, it's just in there, in behind that tree line there. When we go
pretty
around this
cool,
turn,
right?
you'll see the other end of that trail that's closed off.
Yeah.
And it goes in along this side of the pond, and then it crosses, ties up where we, and then that bike path goes out through there, and then we cross that bog.
I'm gonna go look, not because I can take good pictures, but because I just want to see the view.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. I encourage that.
So pretty. I'm gonna lose your map. So pretty. It's neat that you can see Grand Manan.
Yeah. It's nice with the cliffs all covered in snow, right?
Yeah.
We head back towards the historic part of the park and drove up to Friar's Head. Up until that point, I didn't know that you could actually drive up to Friar's Head. I was kind of surprised when we drove right up to the bottom of the hill right by Friar's Head. There's also a trail around Friar's Head that we come back the next day and explored, but this day we drove up, walked up to the platform at the peak, which is an amazing view all the way from Lubec, Maine, around to Eastport across the way, and on the other side you could just see the fields in front of Roosevelt Cottage in front of Friars Bay. Really amazing views. We also discussed the mountains in the distance. Above Eastport to the north we could see mountains, and we were speculating that they were either Chamcook or Greenlaw Mountain on the way into St. Andrews.
So this is Friar's Head Meadow.
Okay.
The bike path cuts across it up here. And this is an area that we have some big plans for enhancing pollination potential.
Is that an old well?
Yep. We put the hand pump back on
Oh,
in the summer months.
that's cool.
But you can see where the bike path comes down from the historic core.
Yeah.
And right on the other side of that tree line, James, is the Friar's Head Trail
Okay.
that goes up to the pavilion. But in order to save time, I'm just going to drive us up to the pavilion because I also want to take you to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see it there through the woods.
Oh, okay. So is that the start of the trail there, and it goes back towards the Roosevelt Cottage? then?
Correct.
Okay.
So whether you take the bicycle path or the road or the footpath, they're all going to end up at the same place.
Okay.
The bicycle path and this road end at the pavilion. The hiking trail does continue and comes back out, goes along right above the shore there.
Yeah.
And comes back out through the woods and kind of ends on about halfway up this road.
Okay.
And that's another trail that we're probably going to reroute a large section of that trail.
Yeah. It's pretty steep up. I didn't realize it was that steep up into here.
So we'll get out here, walk up to the
Yeah.
observation deck so you can take some photos from up there.
Yeah.
Friar's Head Trail comes from kind of like right here. You can see that little footpath,
yeah.
right? And then it continues down through the woods there. It comes back out on that road where I showed you.
Oh, it goes down through there.
Correct. And the reason we got to stand the Friar's Head is there's a unique geological rock formation here at low tide where this rock is stacked on top of another one, and that's referred to as the Friar.
Okay. Can you see it from down around when you go down the path?
At low tide.
At low tide.
Yeah, at low tide. So on this trail,
Yeah.
there's another one of those wooden stair structures that goes down to the beach.
Yeah.
If you go down to that and hang a left, at low tide, if you walk a little ways out on the beach, you can see. You can't see it from the bottom of the steps. You really kind of have to walk out on the beach a little bit if the tide allows you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So that's why it's not. It doesn't reveal the rock, but it allows you to walk out to see it.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
But even then, you can only walk out and see it if the tide is out low enough.
Yeah. So is that East?
That's Eastport.
That's Eastport.
And then this is, let's remember if I can remember this. This is Dudley Island and Treat. And those are protected by the Maine Coast Heritage Trust.
Oh wow.
And then Rogers Island behind is also protected.
Some more of those measuring things out in the island there.
Right, 'cause that international boundary marker goes right across. Apparently there was always a structure here, even back when the Roosevelt Cottage was in
Oh yeah.
its glory in 1800s.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I've seen photographs of it, and it had like this really ornate covering. It was a sheltered pavilion.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
And at that time, a lot of these spruce and fir trees hadn't grown up,
Right.
so they offered like really spectacular sunset views looking over the channel into Lubeck.
Wow. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, there's never much for history when I was younger, but age ties into it. But also, I like being in the place where this happened. Like, it's a whole different experience than just reading about it in books.
Right, and kind of like finding out like its reason for being. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of like that. What's the genesis behind this
Yeah,
place?
how did this happen?
Yeah, that's my favorite part is going to places and just figuring out like why did people come here? Why did they build this? Why did they?
So that the Friar's Head Trail. Remember, I said it comes back out through
Yeah.
the woods.
Yeah.
So it comes out right here.
Oh, right here. Nice. Is that an old apple orchard? Probably. Yeah.
There's probably hundreds of apple trees just in this area, just general area.
Yeah. So then this continues out and around and to the lighthouse?
Yep.
Okay.
We're gonna go by it. We're gonna go out of here and make a right,
Yeah.
and you'll see those yellow bicycle fences
Yeah.
that seem to be at both ends of this bicycle path.
Yeah.
So I think the idea is like you would bike this
Yeah.
and go down this road as opposed to the federal highway
Yeah.
and come back up. We'll drive it up the steep hill.
So we left the Friar's Head Lookout and headed down to Mulholland Point Lighthouse, which is a lighthouse you see when you're crossing the bridge into Campobello. If you look to the left, there's a lighthouse there. It was a really cool spot. Didn't realize that was part of Roosevelt Campobello Park. One of the finds that I was excited about was that there was actually, if you go down a set of stairs by the lighthouse, there's actually a little ledge trail that goes around the point, which we'll definitely be making it on the Hiking MB website.
So this is Mulholland Point Light. I think 1885, I think is the date on it. And it's sort of a big attraction. We get a lot of bus tours that incorporate this lighthouse
Yeah.
into their
Like that.
tour. And this is an old lobster shed
Oh, wow.
that probably is as old as that lighthouse, might even be a little bit earlier, I'm told. That used to be over here as part of this lobster pound. And when this lobster pound went defunct, this was brought over here. And now it's an educational museum with the Whale Institute of Campobello. Campobello Whale Research Institute.
Yeah.
And so they have displays in there, informative signs about the right whale, et cetera, and different marine life.
Interesting.
And they also have an interpreter there all summer. And we also have, and the park also has an interpreter that does lighthouse tours.
Okay.
Lighthouse tours around the lighthouse. We don't allow the public to open it yet.
You know that was my next question.
Yeah, I know you. How long to take a photograph of them in there?
So after exploring the views from the lighthouse, we decided to go to Roosevelt Cottage just to take a look. We couldn't go inside because it was closed for the season. If you've ever seen pictures of Campobello Island, you've probably seen pictures of the red and green, long, large building. That's Roosevelt Cottage. The large green and red building is where President Franklin Roosevelt's parents used to spend the summer's vacations on the island. They ended up buying land and building cottages and several other buildings in the area. President Roosevelt later spent summers there with his wife, Eleanor, and their kids. For more history, go check out the Roosevelt Campobello website. I'll link to it in the show notes. If you do get a chance to visit, one of the interesting experiences that they have is they have something called Tea with Eleanor, where you make a reservation, you go on specific days, usually on the weekend, and you have tea while you learn about the history of the park.
Does that mean we get some tea?
Kettle's off until like April.
Oh, you do have wild turkeys. I was going to ask you that.
Oh, wow.
Can I have my camera lens?
Oh, sure.
Get some historic turkey photos. I was going to ask you if there's, we have wild turkeys run across our lawn every once in a while.
I had a really cool photograph that I missed a couple of months ago. They were running through the tide, through the mud flats.
Oh, yeah?
And that I thought was pretty cool.
That'd be
I've
weird.
never seen them like in the mud flats before. They weren't running, parallel with the mud, with the shoreline. They were like running out into the mud.
Weird.
Here, I'll pull up here if you want to go around
Yeah,
and
I'll
see
go
the
around.
photograph.
Can you scare them in front of the Roosevelt Cottage? That'd be a great photo. Yeah.
I wish you were joking.
I don't think he's joking.
I'm only joking. I'm only joking if you're not going to do it. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be back.
The turkey chase by Roosevelt Cottage concluded our tour. That's where we parted ways with Pete. And again, I'd like to thank Pete for the amazing tour of all the trails. It's all the stuff that would have took me a long time to figure out on my own, the trails and the new trails and what the story was behind them. Now when we go back New Brunswick Day weekend, we hit the ground running. We know exactly where all the trails are and the setup of the trails. And we got some of them hiked. So I only got pictures of the turkeys going into the woods. I didn't get good pictures with them in front of Roosevelt Cottage, so maybe I'll try that again New Brunswick Day weekend. I did, however, get some nice shots of Friar Rock, which is off of the end of Friar Head. It's a couple of stacked rocks that are separated from the cliff face that look like a friar. And I could get a couple of shots of them in the distance. On day 2, when we woke up at our cottage, I was surprised to see, I think it was the same turkeys that were out on the front lawn. So I went out with my camera. This time I got some better pictures, but still didn't get any with any historic buildings in the background. So I'll have to try again for that. After I took some pictures of the turkeys and got ready, I got up early and went and hiked the Customs House Trail, which is a 1.3 kilometer coastal trail that travels between the visitor center near the bridge to Fox Farm Meadow. I was taking some shots and video of surf scoters that were diving in the water, which is pretty cool. Stay tuned for a video of that hike. There was a few blowdowns along the trail. This is February, so you gotta expect that when trail crews haven't get out yet to fix up the trails. The other thing to note is there was a sign at the start of the trail, which was a tick warning sign. This place is not in February, but in the summer months, that corner of the province, just because of how southern it is, does have a lot of tick populations. If you want to learn more about tick populations, you can Google it, but you don't want to get ticks as much as possible because there's a risk of getting Lyme disease, and that is a nasty disease that there's not really a good cure for yet. You want to be careful with that. In the afternoon, Vicki and I hiked the trail around Friar's Head, starting in the apple orchards at the end of the meadows leading up to Friar's Head. The weather was absolutely beautiful. From the 2 days before that was pour down rain and freezing rain and all that. It was actually turned out to be +7 when we got up to the peak. We soon had our jackets off. Once we got to the peak and the lookout on Friar's Head, the trail goes up next to it and you just pop out and you're on the lookout, and then the trail goes back down around the head. Once we get up there, we were trying to remember all of the locations we saw the day before. I'll give the tour. Lubec, Maine. What's that island called again? What's that island called? Oh, I can't remember.
It's showing me that I'm on land, not on land.
Okay, that's a terrible tour. Over there is Eastport. Eastport? Yeah, Eastport.
Where?
Over there. That's Eastport. Over there's 2 islands. There's like a farm on the big one. There's a lighthouse on the small one. At some point there was a ferry that went from Eastport across to Campobello right there. This is the fish pens. This is Friar's Bay. And if you look over here, you can just see Roosevelt Cottage over here. And the other cottage, Hubbard's Cottage, I think it is. And it is an absolutely beautiful day. When we were done at the peak, we hiked around the rest of the trail, came to the stairs down to the beach. We went down to the beach to see if we could get a closer view of the Friar. I didn't figure we would because the tide was at about midpoint. Where the stairs are, it has to be quite low to be able to walk out far enough on the beach to look back and see the Friar. Low tide's at 5, so mid tide. Oh wow.
The apples on the ground.
I bet you there's an apple tree right there.
I just think it has seen better
field.
days.
It's a field with a lookout and squirrels. Where are we going? Oh, it must be a side trail down to the Friar, is it? I don't know. It's a cool trail though. It's a cool trail. Oh, we're like right back at the, we're almost at the car.
I know.
Yeah, we gotta go down that trail. Sorry for your luck.
It's a burl.
It's a pregnant tree.
Oh, look. It says.
Oh, look. It says.
There's like a whole sign and everything.
Cool.
It's a Friar.
This is cool. Oh, this is actually the beach. Look at that. So we took stairs down to the beach and walked towards Roosevelt Cottage. The tide was too high to see the Friar. We went out as far as we could to where the water was. Couldn't see the Friar. Decided to walk down the beach towards Roosevelt Cottage, which was away from the Friar, but it kind of curved around, so we might be able to get a better view back at the Friar. So we collected rocks, and I took pictures and video of some hooded mergansers out in the bay. It was pretty cool. Nice place to walk. Kind of a gravel beach with some big rocks, but not hard to walk on. Oh, we scared the ducks.
Oh, sorry.
Poor duckies.
Where did we go to see this?
You gotta go out to that post,
Oh. Okay.
I think. Can we get there?
No, maybe.
We can try.
Throw yourself in the sea. Oh, God.
Oh God, oh weird.
Oh,
Oh, it's like walking on styrofoam. Oh, yucky. It's even worse.
ew.
Holy jumping, that's a lot of
seaweed.
That's a lot of seaweed.
Gross.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh God, oh God, oh God.
That's a lot of gross, icky, sticky seaweed. I really hope that these boots are somewhat waterproof.
I don't think we're gonna see it.
Oh, God.
I don't see it. I think we have to walk back to where that house is to be able to see it. Because we can't go out any further here, so.
Alright.
Unless that, is that it right there? Let's walk over there. Can we walk over there? Oh God. Let's not fall down.
Let's definitely not fall down. I don't like falling down.
That's a cool rock. Look at that. It's like a big marble. Here. You get a marble rock. Do you want it?
Sure.
We'll call it God's marble.
God's marble. And otherwise, bumpy road. is God's marble.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks like a dinosaur's tooth.
Oh, weird.
I'm gonna take a picture.
Oh. If I lean like out this way, I might be able to see it. Oh, I can't see it.
There's a lot of different kinds of rocks on this beach. Interesting. Jagged rocks, polished rocks. Really cool looking.
We did get far enough down the beach to look back and see the Friar, but we had by that point we were almost at Roosevelt Cottage. So the pictures I got the day before from the front lawn of Roosevelt Cottage were probably turned out even better. The lighting was a bit better. When we got to Roosevelt Cottage, it was really cool. There's some white cap poles. They're really high poles, probably I would say 20 feet high, that went out into the bay, and they had white caps on them, pointy caps, so really cool looking poles. And what they are was part of the dock system for the Roosevelt Cottage. That's the poles that they attach the dock to in the summertime. We talked to a few ladies that were there. They were parked. There's a road that goes down over by that dock, and it's along the edge of the front lawn of the Roosevelt Cottage. So we got to talk to them about some of the ducks and stuff. They were bird watching and checking out the ducks in the bays. They were seeing a lot more than what we saw on our walk. So after that, we walked up the road that they came down and got on the bike trail that leaves the parking lot at Roosevelt Cottage. Then walked back that trail, which had a little bit of snow on it, but it wasn't hard walking. Actually, we spent a lot of our time on that walk talking about the bunny tracks that were all over the road.
Are those bunny tracks? Hey, a little bunny cuckoo. Popping all right. Popping through the forest. Oh, and then he stopped a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he kind of went that way and that way. Oh, are they little babies? Little baby bunny boo-boos. I can't even say it.
When we got back to the car from the bike trail, we said farewell to Campobello Island. That was the end of our trip to Campobello. We crossed the bridge over into Maine. Done a lot already for that day, but on our drive, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to drive out to Quoddy Head Lighthouse after seeing it so much the day before, and at least check it out. So when we got to Quoddy Head Lighthouse, we parked, walked down over the hill a little bit, and there's a place where you make donations in a box for access fees. But they had a brochure of the trails around the lighthouse on both sides of the road. So we walked down the lighthouse, got some amazing views back across at Liberty Point on the other side of the Lubeck Channel. We decided that we had enough time and energy to hike around the short trail that's on the left when you come down to the lighthouse, which is called the Coast Guard Trail. It's a 1.4 kilometer loop. The other trails on the other side are longer and have a lot more features, but we didn't have the time or the energy for that. We were surprised to find out actually at the end of the loop that we did, there was a lookout platform that was way up. You had to climb a lot of stairs to get up to it, but a lookout platform up on a rocky outcrop, which was really cool. So it was a perfect hike. It was a nice wide crushed rock trail again, but it was kind of up and down and meandered through the woods, so really nice forest in a really nice area around the lighthouse. So we definitely plan to return and hike the other trails around the lighthouse. There's so many trails, just talking about Maine for a bit, there's so many trails on the Maine side of things around that Cobscook Bay. Cobscook Bay is the bay that you drive around. If you take the coastal route from St. Stephen, Calais, down around the Campobello, it's the bay that you drive out around before you get to Campobello. And it's quite a substantial bay, but all of the little peninsulas in that bay have some kind of trails, parks, nature preserves. And then to the south of there, along the coast, like you heard Pete and I talking about when we were at Liberty Point, there's Boot Cove, there's all kinds of nature preserves in that area of the state. So we definitely got to get back and explore that area of the state. You'll see it all of our explorations on the hikingme.com website. After we hiked around the Coast Guard Trail at Quoddy Head Lighthouse, we headed for home. We had such a great time at Campobello in February with questionable weather up front, but it turned out to be beautiful on the last day, and even on the Saturday it was really nice. We had so much fun that we've already booked our next trip for New Brunswick Day weekend, and we can't wait to get back in the summer month now that we know the lay of the land for the trails in the park, to get out and explore them, make sure we get out to Sunsweep for sunrise. I've got some really cool ideas for maybe even some night photography at Friar's Head. There's so much to explore on Campobello Island. For such a small island, it's really half of its hiking trails, and if you join that up with a trip through the States and check out some of the trails on the Maine side, I mean, we've been there probably 3 times now. We still haven't hiked all the trails on Campobello Island, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what there is on the Maine side. Can't wait to go back. New Brunswick Day weekend, when we're going back, it is actually Fog Fest, which is a free concert series that the island puts on. So we can't wait to check out some of that, and we think it's going to be an amazing trip. Hope to see you there. Once again, I'd like to thank Pete Coleman and John Southern for their tour and hospitality. They have some really exciting plans for making Roosevelt Park a hiking destination in the province more than it is now. Until next time, hope to see you on the trail or on the water.